Hello everyone, this is your boy Neil Gonzalez, Weather X45, and the next question is, what is a polar vortex? Basically what a polar vortex is a pocket of cold air that sits in the northern and southern hemisphere. It mostly replicates from the troposphere and the stratosphere. It's like a cyclonic cold air. And it's like a hurricane, basically, except it goes 30 miles away from the 99-inch corridor. So it only sits around from two poles, from the stratosphere and the troposphere. So I'm going to show you an example of a polar vortex. So I'm just going to get this thing out. So basically, the starting of a polar vortex, basically. Okay, so we're going to put the starting of the polar vortex. So, a polar vortex, right here I put the starting of the polar vortex. So, I'm going to draw North America. I'm going to draw North America. I'm going to draw Alaska here. Like that. Like that. And this is New York right over here. And like that. So let's also include South America. Alright. So this is North America and this is South America. So the polar vortex, basically, it's like a area of low pressure, the lowest pressure of cold air, basically what it is. So I'm going to do an example. So right here, this is how a polar vortex fits in with the cold air. It basically spins around like a cyclone. So that's why people be saying it's like a hurricane. It is like a hurricane because it has strong winds, known as gale cold front winds. So a lot of the cold air spins around from the moisture of the warm air. So it keeps spinning around, basically. Like it spins around the 99-inch corridor from the upper states of Canada. So I'm just doing a quick example right here. So it's like that, and you got the cold air right here. So the cold air, basically, so I'm going to leave this for a moment later. So this is the cold air, and this is the warm, moist air jet stream. And then the stratosphere around here, and it blocks the cold air from getting in. So basically it sits around the North Pole and also the South Pole. So what happens is we usually get cold air that starts to whip around and they start to break off, and what it causes is a jet stream to bang in with the cold air. It rarely happens sometimes, and then what happens is all this cold air becomes widespread. And as the cold air becomes widespread, the warm air starts to weaken, and then it dies out. And then what happens is, when it dies out, the cold air starts to go this way. And that's where we get some frigid cold airs for the northeast coast. Like, for example, January 2014, from the new year, there was a polar vortex that hit New York City. And we had temperatures that was 9 degrees, but it didn't felt like 9 degrees because there were strong winds. What happened is, there was a typhoon, basically. So a typhoon starts in the Pacific Ocean. There's like early El Niños from the Pacific Ocean from Taiwan and Japan. And then what happens is the jet stream starts to wiggle around, and it crashes, or you could say, for also an determination, you could say crushes. It crushes so hard to the vortex that the warm air starts to die out, and then all the cold air starts to join out of the contribution of the lockdown from the cold air lockdown. So the lockdown starts to break off, and all the cold air starts to enter to North America. So I'm going to show you an example, and we're going to start now. So I'm going to go like this. So polar vortex will start right here. So you got low pressure. It's a strong low pressure. Also I'm going to tell you, this is Florida, this is Alaska, and this is New York, right here. That's Long Island. I'm not good at drawing North America, just saying. So this cold air starts to be here. So we're going to talk about that historic cold front that was so powerful. It was named as Cold Front Sandy. But since we had a typhoon that hit on Taiwan and Japan, it was the strongest typhoon. It was a Category 5, and it was really deadly. But when it hit in the land, it actually died out to a Category 4. So what happened was, the jet stream basically, what happened was, it started to bounce off. And when it bounces off, I'll show you right here, pay attention to this page. So, as it jumps off, the jet stream just goes out here, and then it goes a little turn, and then boom, it crushes there. And then what happens is, all the warm air that's blocking the cold air to hit the area, it starts to die out. And when it dies out, this cold air becomes widespread. And this is what happened in 2014. All this cold air started to get widespread, and here's New York, right there, literally hit it by the polar vortex. Because of the frigid cold air. We had a typhoon from Japan and Taiwan, and it was a very extremely bad typhoon. So meteorologist Joseph, that's his name, meteorologist Joseph Pack, changed the name from Cold Front Sandy and made it become Super Cold Front Typhoon Sandy. But then they started to switch things even more, because the cold front that we had in from 2014 was the strongest cold front that ever hit here in New York City. We had temperatures that were below freezing temperatures, and visibilities were near negative. Absolutely negative, because it was a very powerful cold front that ever hit. It was called Super Cold Front Sandy, and then they call it Super Cold Front Typhoon. And the reason why they call it Super Cold Front Typhoon was because there was a typhoon in Taiwan, the Philippines, and Japan. It was flooded, and what happened was the jet stream bounced up and down, and then the tropopause senses the visibility. So then what happens is the visibility is crushed down, and the debris from the bottom of the troposphere starts to mostly make a little heartbeat line. And as it does that, the polar vortex that spins around basically breaks off, and it becomes, all this cold air starts to enter out. And that causes the polar vortex to be around here. I'm going to show you Super Cold Front Sandy on my phone. Give me a sec. So this was from AccuWeather.com. Since 2014, it was in the day of January 6, 2014, from the new year. We had a polar vortex. As you can see right here, there was a polar vortex that came here, and what happened was the Arctic blast started slamming into New York because there was a typhoon. And I'm going to show you what the typhoon was. So here it was, the typhoon. It was a very powerful typhoon that caused the jet stream to bounce around. The jet stream was basically around here between Samarar, Bohol, and Mindao, and Palu. So basically what happened was all this wind caused it to basically bounce around. And it bounces with a lot of energy. And then it starts to move up. And then the polar vortex that was sitting around the northern hemisphere, it starts to break off. And all the Arctic air enters in. So basically that happened in 2014. And not just only that, there was a blizzard since 2014, which was named Blizzard Hercules. And I'm going to show you that. So here's a picture of what Blizzard Hercules was. It had strong winds that was 85 miles per hour. It was a strong, deadly storm that hit New York City. It was the most strongest winds that we ever compromised with. And it had a very strong gale winds. And when this cold front Sandy joined in with the Arctic air, it got even stronger. So it got even more stronger, basically. And I apologize if I said get 2 times. My apologies. But what happened was when Blizzard Hercules joined with cold front Sandy, and it became super cold front typhoon, it got even stronger and stronger and stronger that visibilities went below. So that's to show you that, look what it did. Caused a lot of snow with ice, basically. These is right here in this picture. If I'm zooming in right here, this shows a lot of ice. This is ice and snow because of the visibilities from super cold front Sandy. The worst of all was Russia. Russia got hit the worst because they had it even more stronger snow and a super blizzard that ever hit with 30 centimeters plus to 50 centimeters plus. That's about 100 inches of snow. So it was a superstorm from the tip capes where the white light, a lighthouse, basically a lighthouse to sense the storm. There were 3 people who were living there, and they had it all raw. Like, they got hit so hard by that super cold front. It was a very deadly super cold front for Russia. And that's what a polar vortex is. Hope you guys like this video, and please subscribe my channel, and peace out.